Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today Battlefield 1 just dropped their huge monthly May update that makes a ton of changes to the game. I'm going to be live streaming the new patch a little bit later today, so drop by the Twitch channel if you want to check that out. And before we get into the details, Origin has decided to sponsor a PC giveaway for my audience, which is awesome. I've been sponsored by Origin PC since 2013. I've been using their computers to play, record, and stream video games, and they've been performing admirably. Now, to sign up for a chance to win this PC, check the link in the video description. It'll take you to this Origin PC landing page where they have instructions on how to enter the contest. It's very simple, very straightforward. No reason not to do it unless, of course, you really hate free computers. The computer itself is a beast. It's got an Intel Core i7 CPU with a solid-state drive and an NVIDIA GPU. It can play any modern PC title, and I'm looking forward to seeing who wins that contest. Okay, so now on to the most exciting feature of the Battlefield 1 patch, and that is the new Join Any Operations button. This is a button that'll pop you into any operations game. It should be a lot easier. It'll pick either 40 or 64 players, whatever's available, so you should have a much easier time of getting into an operation. And plus, once that operation is over, it will actually restart the operation and switch teams. So you shouldn't have to be kicked out and then go find another operation. And DICE is going to add the feature in later for it to switch between operations. So let's give this a test, see how it works. And all right, not the best start. Granted, it is early in the day. Perhaps operation servers aren't populated yet, but I did post this screen grab on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying they're having the exact same effect. So not the best start. We'll give it a day or two before panning the new Find Any Operations button. I don't know why DICE is like server browser. No, never. Let's work with buttons and auto matchmaking. You know what wouldn't have put me into an empty server, even on day one of the patch? A server browser button. I could have looked, seen the full servers, seen the empty servers, and queued up for a full server. Pretty straightforward. Don't know why DICE is so resistant to this concept. Now, operations aside, there are still plenty of other changes in this patch that you should be excited for. They are changing so much about Battlefield in this one patch. I think the next most significant change is how flags are captured in Conquest. The points allocated to the flags and how they're distributed while capturing them is a big change. Overall, there's going to be less flags for capturing points. I think it's somewhere around 600. I'll have to kind of do the math on that one. But basically, you get the majority of your points now for actually being on the flag rather than being on the flag when it gets captured. So the ticks you get for being on the flag during the capture process are worth a lot more points, and the actual capture state itself is only worth 100 points now. So this means that players aren't going to just try and rush to get on the flag at the last second. If you see that a flag's about to be captured, you might just ignore it and go on to whatever objective you're aiming for in the first place. Also, taking away some of the points from the flag capture should hopefully make people glom onto points a little bit less and maybe play more strategically around the points, defending certain angles and alleys that make more sense rather than being on the flag capture point itself. Hopefully, this is the start of really balancing out Conquest in a much better way. The other really big significant change to Conquest is the fact that stationary weapons will no longer be permanently destroyed. They're going to have twice as much health, but when they drop to 50% of their health, they will enter a disabled state. And once they're in a disabled state, you'll be able to get them back online using the repair tool that the support class has. So there's going to be much more reason to run with the repair tool nowadays, and it means that pilots and tanks won't be able to permanently take out the stationary emplacements that take them out. This is going to be a big change to the way that Conquest plays, and it'll even affect game modes like Operations. This time around, EA has increased the threshold a little bit there so that players can have a ping of 130 milliseconds if they're in the US to Europe, and 200 milliseconds everywhere else. So if you're playing it beyond that, like playing in, say, Japan from America, and you've got like a 250 or 300 ping, then it's still going to be pretty bad. But if you're playing in a country that doesn't have its own servers, hopefully the ping problems and the netcode problems won't be as severe. They're basically just trying to iron this out and find the perfect balance so that everybody is happy. They also made a whole bunch of changes to client-side and server-side hit detection and registration, So hopefully things will just feel a little bit more snappy and a little bit more accurate. Now probably the next biggest impact of this patch is going to be the bayonet charge. They've made some huge nerfs to the bayonet charge. The one thing they haven't changed is the ability to activate the bayonet charge from basically point blank range and get somebody without really having to charge. But beyond that, they made it so that you can't rotate a maximum of 50 degrees during the preparation state of the bayonet charge. And they've also made the turn speed much slower. They've gotten rid of your damage reduction while in the bayonet charge. They've increased the volume of the footsteps, and I think that the like yell that you make when you start charging. So basically, they've made it easier to detect the bayonet charge, harder to actually aim the bayonet charge, and no damage reduction. So this should be a pretty big nerf to the bayonet charge. It's going to mean that you're going to need more skill to use it, and hopefully it won't allow people to like bayonet charge into a building and then turn really fast around a corner and get somebody that way. So this is a good change. It doesn't fix some of the more annoying aspects of it, but it's still a really good step in the right direction. Now, a very big aspect of the May patch is balancing vehicles. Not so much balancing them against infantry, as not too much has changed in that department, but what they have done is they've made a lot of the less popular vehicle variations better. Basically, DICE has looked at which vehicles people are using, seen that 90% of the player base are using very specific variants, and they've tried to make the other variants more competitive. Now, there are a huge amount of vehicle changes here. You can read them for yourself. I'll put a link in the video description, but I'll go over some of my favorite changes that I think are going to affect at least the way I play the game. First of all, the Dogfighter variant of the fighter plane now has a new secondary weapon, incendiary ammo, and that basically increases the damage done against plane parts. So if you're trying to like get a quick strafing run on another fighter or an attack plane and you use incendiary ammo, hopefully you can disable their wing and win the dogfight from there. So the dogfighter should have a significant advantage when actually dogfighting. Now, the attack plane is seeing quite a bit of love this patch. Universally, it's getting better maneuverability. It's going to be almost on par with the fighter, but just slightly worse. This means that the fighter can still outmaneuver it and should hopefully get some sort of advantage in a dogfight. But the attack plane, if you're a good pilot, you might be able to take out fighters a little bit better now. Now, the airship buster variant of the attack plane, which is pretty underused, is getting a buff to its primary machine guns from 32 damage per shot to 40, which puts it on par with how much damage the fighter planes do. And it's also getting a speed boost maneuverability boost. So basically, when it activates its speed boost, it should now be able to turn faster than the fighter plane. So this is going to make this specific variant of the attack plane much more effective at dogfighting, and so it's going to be a new interesting plane to fly. I don't know if it'll increase its popularity, but I'm excited to find out. The Tank Hunter variant is getting a little bit of a buff to its primary weapon, making it fire faster and drop slower. So basically it's going to be easier to aim the Tank Hunter's cannon, and that should make it a little bit more fun to use. Again, I don't know if it's going to make it a highly popular choice. Now, when it comes to the ever popular light tank, the close support variation, basically the basic variant, instead of getting a secondary shotgun type round, is now getting a light machine gun, and it's getting its basic ammo count boosted from 4 to 5. The flanker tank is getting a little bit of a damage nerf against infantry, and the howitzer tank is getting a new heavy machine gun as opposed to the light machine gun for taking out infantry, and this should make it a little bit more powerful. The mortar land ship is seeing some significant changes. Its light mortar is now going to be a heavy mortar, which means it's going to do more splash damage and more damage to vehicles, but it's going to have a slower firing time. And they're also getting rid of the gas and smoke shells with the mortar land ship and replacing that with track repair and smoke that it can deploy to escape in combat. The Tank Hunter variant now also has a secondary fire for the driver, which is a rear-facing tank gewehr. So basically you can shoot somebody who's right behind you with the Tank Hunter variant, which is kind of cool. Also, the repair speeds for the light tank, heavy tank, Saint Shaman, and the artillery truck are all now going to be in line with how it works on the land ship, which is faster repair but of less health. It's not going to change the rate at which you repair health overall. It's just going to be faster and in smaller increments, if that makes sense. Now, the last change I want to talk about here is something you can actually change on your gameplay settings. If you go to the advanced gameplay option, you can adjust the amount of camera shake. You can't completely get rid of it, but you can reduce it down to 30%. I would recommend doing this for anyone who values their skill and performance over cinematic looking gameplay. I'm certainly going to do it. I imagine a lot of other players are going to do it, but just so you're aware, this is probably another one of those really important updates that could easily be overlooked. Go into your options, play around with this, set it down to 30, and see if the game's a little bit more tolerable when tons of artillery strikes and grenades are going off. Hopefully it will be. Again, I'll be playing the patch a bit today on Twitch. You can find my Twitch link in the video description or at the end of this video. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to check out that Origin PC promotion, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.